Hey, it's Soul with another video, and today we're going to feature one of the early factions of the Warcraft series. Most Alliance players should be pretty familiar with the members of this faction, but I'm going to bring all of you up to speed, for no particular reason, other than that maybe you'll see them active in the future. These are the Sons of Lothar, members of the original Alliance of Lordaeron, who, once upon a time, ventured through the Dark Portal after the Second War to finish off the Orcs for good. The name of their faction comes from Anduin Lothar, a hero from the Second War who was killed by then War Chief Orgrim Doomhammer, and is a tribute to the fallen knight. So how did they form? 1 year after the end of the Second War, the Orcs invaded Azeroth once again, this time on a mission to steal powerful artifacts. It wouldn't be until later that the Alliance would learn that the purpose was to open portals to more worlds aside from Azeroth, for the Orcs to pillage and plunder and other such things. Regardless, the call to arms sounded once again, not just to defend Azeroth, but to march on the Orcs themselves and put an end to their plans permanently. Join the Sons of Lothar, they said, come for the cake and stay for the killing. Okay, it didn't go that way, but many joined. The man in charge of the expedition, and thus the leader of the Sons of Lothar, was Khadgar, recently promoted by Archmage Antonidas of the Kirin Tor. Khadgar was already a powerful mage in his own right after besting his master Medivh, and before the journey to Draenor, he was Lord of Nethergarde Keep, which was at least designed to keep an eye on the Orcs. Joining him was Alleria Windrunner, captain of the Farstriders, a group of rangers who are more open to helping races other than the elves. Alleria's specific intentions were a little bit more extreme though. Despite having a kid recently, she was obsessed with killing Orcs out of vengeance for her family and her people. Alleria's lover Turalyon also happened to show up, not just to be near Alleria, but because after Lothar, he was the one that commanded the Alliance armies after Lothar was killed, and led them to victory in the Second War. Denath Trollbane was one of the nobility of Stromgarde. He was already a close advisor and friend to Turalyon before traveling to Draenor, and raised soldiers and mercenaries to join them on the expedition. The last major member of the Sons of Lothar is Kurgan Wildhammer, the leader of the Wildhammer clan. He joined with the Alliance during the Second War by providing his valuable Griffin Riders to counter the threat of dragons under the control of the Orcs. Together, they led the Alliance expedition into the alien world of Draenor. Now I'm gonna skip this part, sort of, but spoiler alert, the forces of Azeroth prevailed. The Orcs were defeated, but during the final battle, Ner'zhul opened up numerous portals all over Draenor, utterly decimating the planet and everyone still on it. The members of the expedition, along with its leadership, were considered lost, but their efforts saved Azeroth from destruction. When Stormwind was rebuilt, statues were erected for the 5 lost heroes, who were thought to be gone forever, until years later when the Dark Portal opened once again. The Sons of Lothar mostly survived Draenor's destruction. Stuck on a strange world with no way home unless they wanted to risk even more war, they settled, they built families, and they knew the responsibility they still had as defenders of their world, so they fought demons. Lots of demons. Denath stayed in Honorhold, which was the Sons of Lothar's primary settlement on what was now known as Outland. Kurgan set up shop in Shadowmoon Valley to keep watch over the area. Other outposts were set up throughout Outland, including Turokar Forest and the Netherstorm. Khadgar also kept himself busy. Between he and Velen, they independently called on the Naaru, celestial beings of light, to help with their struggles against the Burning Legion on Outland. And, just like how Azeroth thought the Sons of Lothar were lost, the Sons thought that Alleria and Turalyon were gone, when they were actually whisked away to the Twisting Nether, fighting the Burning Legion for far longer than anyone would realize. Eventually, on the battlefield of Outland, as the dust settled, Illidan eventually fell, and the Temple of Karabor was retaken, the Sons were finally able to return home, at least some of them. Kurgan appears to be the first of the 5 to return, willing to lead his Wildhammers once more, but instead he was able to leave leadership in his friend Falstad's hands, because he was leading the Wildhammers for many years during Kurgan's absence. Khadgar returned to Dalaran sometime before the engagement in Pandaria to rejoin the Kirin Tor, and has since become very active in Azeroth's affairs. He once again led the defenders of Azeroth to an alternate Draenor, then united the class orders against the Third Burning Legion invasion. Since then, however, he's locked himself away in Karazhan, looking for a way to save Azeroth from its latest assault. He hasn't been heard from since. Danath finally returned to Azeroth during the Third Burning Legion invasion, now that his business of fighting demons has brought him home. But in the faction wars that followed shortly after, he appears to have made a claim for Stromgarde as one of the last living members of the House of Trollbane, and seeks to restore it. He's fighting against the Horde to reclaim the region for the Alliance. Alleria and Turalyon also turned up, first by contacting Azeroth early in the Third Legion invasion, then joining them on the assault on the Legion's homeworld of Argus. Before that, they've been pretty busy, fighting several lifetimes worth of war against the Legion across the twisting Nether. It's no surprise that they came out of that more changed than anyone. Turalyon was reborn by the Naaru as a Lightforged to endure the 1,000 years that he spent fighting. Alleria, on the other hand, wasn't able to go through the same transformation, but instead accepted the gift of void energies to fight against her enemies. They finally returned to Azeroth after the battle for Argus, and have pledged to once again fight the enemies of the Alliance. Turalyon specifically is fighting alongside Danath for control of Stromgarde. So that's where we're at. The Sons of Lothar are basically no more, and they're mostly doing their own thing. But will that remain the same forever? Is there a possibility that the Sons of Lothar will raise their banners and march after 20 long years? Over in Outland, we can plainly see that the Sons of Lothar are still there, but that's mostly because, well, Blizzard hasn't made a significant revisit to Outland since the Burning Crusade expansion. We can only guess that since the old leaders eventually left, others should have too. But it also wouldn't surprise me if the Sons didn't entirely leave Outland either. It's been their home for a good chunk of their lives, and for those who were born there, it is their lives. There's almost no mention of the Sons of Lothar since the Burning Crusade, at least not until the events of Legion, when Khadgar reunites with Alleria and Turalyon, insisting that they have a reunion party sometime. Khadgar happens to be the only one to still sport the Sons of Lothar faction tag as shown here, but this only lasts for a brief moment in the Cathedral of the Eternal Night dungeon, and nowhere else, so this just might be something Blizzard overlooked. Now I want to put together just a little bit of a speculation. It might be a whole lot of nothing, and if that's the case, then cool, but hear me out. It's about the Naaru, and their connection to the Sons of Lothar. First though, we have to go back to their brief history with the humans. The Naaru have contacted humans several times throughout Azeroth's history. The first was around the time of the Troll Wars, nearly 3,000 years before the present day. Humans didn't realize it, but they communicated with the Naaru through visions. These visions of valor, justice, and virtue, and whatever, eventually led to the discovery of the light, or holy light, and the religion that came from that. Another connection was made much later, after the destruction of Draenor. Turalyon and Alleria team up with Zira, the Prime Naaru, and together they fought the Burning Legion for 1,000 years. This marks the first time the Naaru contacted humans directly. 20 or so years later, or 1,000 if you live in the Twisting Nether, the Naaru meet another human. This time it's Archmage Khadgar, after he reached out for help against the Legion in Outland. And shortly after, the Naaru that arrived on Outland were ambushed. In fact, one of them was brought back to Azeroth to infuse the Blood Elves with a holy light, and then later cleanse the Sunwell. There's also one at the Netherlight Temple, a gathering place for all priests on Azeroth, including King Anduin Wrynn, who has pretty strong affections for the Naaru. This could all be a big coincidence, and if it is, nothing is lost. But what if it's not a coincidence? What if these events were actually something the Naaru had been doing intentionally somehow? So let's revisit back to when the humans first learned of the Holy Light, of virtue and justice, etc. What if the Naaru's intention was to plant the seed, so to speak, setting the stage in hopes that if or when they finally come to Azeroth themselves, they'll appear on a world where all races worship the Holy Light? It didn't turn out that way though. The Church of Holy Light is still a big influence, but in 3,000 years the humans didn't subjugate the planet into the light. After all, no one exactly told them to. Zira picking up Turalyon could be seen as a step towards this goal as well, with the Paladin becoming a sort of bridge between human and Naaru. Remember that we did learn the alternate Draenor's fate. It's a world in grave, grave danger, with Exarch Yrel on a campaign to convert the other races to the light, so all become one. The arrival of the Naaru on Outland and Muru's sacrifice to the Blood Elves and then to the Sunwell may be another step too, almost as if Muru was a Trojan horse to bring the light's influence to the elves. But the Naaru's hubris set them back as well. Alleria didn't take the gift of the light and chose her own path. Xera thought that selling Illidan's fate as destiny would be enough. Instead, Illidan was Illidan and chose his own path as well. Now, this all might be paranoia, but if it's not, regardless of the Naru's missteps, the wheels are still in motion. Alleria may not be very closely aligned with the Sons of Lothar anymore, but Danath still holds great sway, and he's working closely with the Light's champion, Turalyon. It probably wouldn't take much to convince Kurdran to their side, and finally there's Khadgar. When he emerges from Karazhan, the people of Azeroth, both the Horde and Alliance, are going to look to him for answers on what to do about their world. What if Khadgar's answer is to embrace the light? And what will that mean for Azeroth's ultimate fate? So this was the Sons of Lothar faction, and I hope you enjoyed the feature. If so, leave a like and let me know what you think about what these folks might be up to, or if they just want to sit on their butts and wait for the end of the world. Don't forget to subscribe for more of this and all things Warcraft, and I'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.